mentioned earlier, I worked in BT for a while, many years ago. In fact, I worked there for 18 years, probably the last 12 in software development, various different positions, analyst, programmer, senior analyst, team leader, project manager, program manager. And I left to move into academia for 12 years, teaching Agile Project Management, databases and software quality assurance. I left there for the role of Associate Dean at NCC Education for 2.5 years. And that's my sort of brief introduction. Basically, this is an overview of what we're going to be looking at throughout the rest of the afternoon. And first, we're going to look at what is Agile, or what Agile is. So that's a brief overview just for a reminder for you. Then we're going to look at Agile Project Management in general, which is based on the DSDM Agile Project Framework. Toe in the water of Agile Programme Management. And finally, we're going to look in a little bit more detail at Agile Business Analysis. So what is Agile? With respect to teams, Agile is about co-located, cross-functional, multidiscipline, self-organising teams. Co-located, cross-functional. Let's look at the cross-functional bit first of all. That's IT and the business working together. Co-located, many years ago, back in the mid-90s, that used to mean everyone working in the same room together all day, every day, IT and the business. As you're probably aware, you can't really get business people released all day, every day for the duration of a project. So now what we're looking at is regular access to those business roles, because when you've got regularity, you can plan. And we do a lot of planning in Agile, contrary to the belief of some. Co-located, if we're looking for regular access, the co-located can go away. And what we're looking to do is go to the route of least interruption. That may mean bringing IT to the business. It may mean bringing the business to IT. And if you take IT to the business, there's probably going to be lots of interruptions. If you take the business to IT, you would think there would be less interruptions. However, that IT team may be working on more than one project, or they may be part of a support team or something like that. So it's your choice on how you juggle, how you get the business people and IT people in the same room. We're also talking about multidiscipline teams here, and with respect to DSDM, what we mean by multidisciplined is multidiscipline teams rather than multidiscipline people. So all of the expertise to deliver the particular solution is in the team from the outset. Also talking about self-organising. Self-organising sometimes gets mixed up with self-directing, and if we take self-directing to its scary limits, it can mean you ask someone to go off and develop something in 6 months, and they just go off and we get all the developer gold plating, user gold plating and so on and so forth, and we end up delivering a solution that's of no value to the business whatsoever. So we go down a self-organising route. Self-organising is similar to self-directing. The difference is you say to a team, you need to go off and deliver this in 6 months, but do it within your empowered role. Empowerment is very, very important. And by empowerment, we mean with respect to the business people, we've got people at operational level working with the solution development team, and they are empowered to help the team understand the depth of requirements. So they can make decisions about the depth of requirements. If we need to add more new requirements, i.e. change the breadth of the solution, then we still go into formal change control. And the IT people are empowered to make decisions with respect to how they want to develop the solution, but they are not empowered to make changes to the underlying architecture. Again, we would go into formal change control. Agile is also about small batch sizes of prioritised work. We haven't got time to go into it here, but it has been proven that small batch sizes deliver quicker. Prioritised work, because in DSDM, we'll be looking at must-go prioritisation a little bit later on. Must-have, should have, could have, and won't have this time. And our contingency in DSDM is in those could-have requirements. So in order to deliver on time, we do need to leave requirements out. Communication and collaboration is a key part of Agile. That's your challenge. I'll leave you to think about that. Getting IT and the business communicating and collaborating. It's about iterative and incremental delivery. So iterative, getting from a high level requirement spec to a low enough level of specification for the team to estimate and plan effectively for small windows of development, 2 to 4 weeks long, that we call time boxes in DSDM. And then incremental, splitting your requirements list up into sensible chunks. It may be all the front end stuff together, all the back end stuff together. It may be by organisational business area. And what we're looking to do is, if we've got an increment, a subset of our requirements list, and we can deliver that before the end of the project and get a return on investment, then we do so. If not, it just goes into configuration management. And one thing to think about here is a lot of people think that an agile approach states that you must deliver incrementally. It's not really true. You have been provided with a framework to deliver incrementally should you be able to get that return on investment. And an agile approach is also about transparency, inspection and adaptation. And agile delivers quicker. Well, after what we've just looked at, that's no surprise really, because if we've got regular access to the business roles, that cuts down on our communication timeline. So we're going to deliver quicker there, and we're going to deliver via small batch sizes as well. That's going to speed up our delivery. One last thing on this slide is there's a wonderful picture of an umbrella there, which is not surprising, as this presentation is coming from the UK. What it's implying is that agile is an umbrella term. There is no agile approach. There is no agile framework. There is no agile methodology. Agile is an umbrella term for a way of working that I've just described to you. And quite a lot of the time, people are under the misconception that agile is Scrum. It isn't. Scrum is agile. DSDM, the Dynamic Systems Development Method, is agile. Now we've got the Agile Manifesto, and I'm sure you've all seen this before, but let's just have a quick look at it. The Agile Manifesto was developed in 2001. 17 Agilistas, as they called themselves, thought leaders in the world, met in a place called Snowbird in Utah for a skiing trip. And they said, well, look, while we're here, why don't we just stick our stake in the ground and explain what we mean by agile? So they came up with this Agile Manifesto, supported by 12 principles. The good news is we're not going to go through the principles, but if we have a quick look at the manifesto, individuals and interactions over processes and tools. Every individual should be ready, willing and able to play their part in the team. Agile processes need to be light touch and serve to guide and support rather than dictate what individuals and teams should do and how they should do it. Working software over comprehensive documentation. A lot of the time, it's not until you can see what you can have that you know what you want. So let's get some prototypes out there. Let's show it to the business community. We can even produce paper prototypes. Let's get some feedback and let's move on in the right direction. Customer collaboration over contract negotiation. This is really here to encourage project teams and the sponsoring business to work collaboratively, and agile contracts play a big part in this. I'm not going to dwell on agile contracts. However, if you look at the DSDM Consortium website, www.dsdm.org, in the next month or so, the DSDM Consortium has commissioned the development of an agile contract by collaboration of several law firms in the UK. If we look at responding to change over following a plan, what we're really talking about here is that we want high level, light touch and guiding long-term plans coupled with detailed plans for these 2 to 4 week periods that we call time boxes. Now we're moving into DSDM itself, the DSDM Agile Project Framework. So DSDM has a philosophy, and the philosophy is that best business value emerges when projects are aligned to clear business goals, deliver frequently, and involve the collaboration of motivated and empowered people. Let's go through that. Best business value emerges when projects are aligned to clear business goals. Most businesses tend to have a strategy. That strategy has a vision, a mission, and a set of strategic goals. And what we're saying here is that DSDM projects should be aligned to one or more or a part of those strategic goals. If they're not, the question is, why are we doing the project? And then if we move on from there and look at the project itself, projects have objectives, projects have requirements, and those requirements should relate back to a project objective. If they don't, why are we doing them? And that's where some of those won't have requirements that I mentioned earlier on, wheedled out from. We look at deliver frequently, so that's the deliver incrementally if you can, if you're going to get a return on investment. And then we need to have collaboration of motivated and empowered people. And the DSDM framework provides an environment for collaboration and communication. The motivation is what you need to work on, and make sure that your people are appropriately empowered. This is just a look at what is negotiable on a DSDM project. If we look at a traditional approach, generally we fix features for some unknown reason, and we vary time and cost. And it's been shown that if you are working on a project and it's say a month or so before the end, and it's reported that the project's going to slip a number of months, start thinking about what can you leave out. And if you're on an IT project and you're a few months from the end, you're in testing. So the idea would be to leave some testing out. Not a very good idea. That would compromise quality. So the next thing will be, let's throw people at it. And Fred Brooks, in his book, The Mythical Man Month, actually showed that if you throw people at an IT project, when it's going to overrun, it actually overruns more than if you'd have done nothing. So throwing people at an IT project towards the end actually extends the end date rather than makes it shorter. So what can we do? What you'll find is at the 11th hour, quite a lot of project managers go into the project board and say, well, look, could we de-scope some requirements? And surprisingly and generally, the answer is almost always yes. And collaboration goes on and some requirements are left out for now, and the project delivers nearer to time than it would have done if we'd have done nothing. DSDM picks up on that and says, well, instead of varying our features at the 11th hour, why not do it from the outset? And in order to deliver on time and to cost and not compromise quality, let's put our contingency in our features. That's why we have this Moscow prioritization approach. So DSDM has 8 principles. I'm not going to go into those in any great detail. I'll look at the principle 1, 2, 3, 4 down that says never compromise quality. And what we mean by quality on a DSDM project is something being fit for purpose. We're not looking for an all singing, all dancing solution, something that is fit for purpose, something that meets its acceptance criteria. The last principle, demonstrate control, is an interesting one. And the key word here is demonstrate. It's not about command and control. It's not about micromanagement. It's about demonstrating that your project is on track, under control, whatever terminology you want to use to explain that. And we do that via transparency, getting task boards up on the wall, getting burned down charts up on the wall, inviting people to our various Agile meetings and so on and so forth. So that's the principles in short. This is the DSDM process. And what we got in DSDM is a pre-project phase. This is passing on via something that we call the terms of reference, the key business drivers for the project to the project manager. Once that's been done and we're happy that everything is in place, we can move into feasibility, which is a 1 to 2 week time slot in DSDM. And in feasibility, what we're doing is we are doing, if needs be, one final sanity check. And I'll say that again, one final sanity check to see if the project is still technically and financially viable. We're taking those key business drivers in the terms of reference and morphing those into a set of project objectives, and that's where we're starting to build an embryonic business case. We drop into foundations, and in foundations we're actually extending out that business case, teasing those objectives into a set of high-level requirements, prioritising those requirements and generating what we call a PRL, or prioritised requirements list. This is a 2 to 4 week period, and this is where we do just enough analysis up front and design up front to move into evolutionary development, which is where we start building the system proper. So this is where our devs get involved and we're actually starting to develop code. This is in time boxes, these 2 to 4 week periods that I've been talking about, and this is where the people at operational level in the business get heavily involved. As we move out of evolutionary development, i.e. we've completed an increment, we move into deployment, which is where we assemble and review all appropriate artifacts so that we can deploy that part of the solution. Once we've done that, if there are any more increments left, we can go back to evolutionary development, deliver the next increment until the point there are no increments left, and then we're ready to close down the project. After the project is closed, we move into post-project, and I hasten to add again, after the project is closed, we move into post-project, which is where we are doing our benefits realisation. And during evolutionary development, the project manager will be making informed decisions on when particular benefits should accrue after the project has been delivered. And this gives us a set of milestones for generally a BA to go out and find whether or not those benefits have actually accrued. One last thing to sort of think about here is if you have a look, and I don't know if you can see my my cursor, but I'm sort of squiggling around an arrow here. This arrow is saying that if at any point during evolutionary development a new must-have requirement appears, and we'll see what that means a little bit later on, we go back to foundations, and by that we mean have a facilitated workshop and look at our prioritised requirements list, reprioritise if needs be, place that must-have requirement in an appropriate increment, and then, if at all possible, place it from the increment into an appropriate time box. So this is what we lovingly call the alien baby at the DSDM Consortium, and it gives us an overview of the structure of the DSDM team and the roles. And if we take a look at this, at the top in the baby's head, we've got the project level roles. The orange role is a business role. That's the business sponsor, the most senior person from the business on the project. They are the budget holder. They get involved on a regular basis in the project during feasibility and foundations, and they will probably be the workshop owner for several workshops in feasibility and would most definitely be attending workshops in foundations, because feasibility and foundations are workshop driven. They don't, after that, get involved with the project on a regular basis. They actually empower one of their direct reports that we call the business visionary to run the project from a business viewpoint on their behalf, and the business visionary is making sure that the project is aligning to the objectives in the business case, making sure that people are empowered to make decisions, making sure that people are released on a regular basis to become part of the project team. And they're also at a senior enough level that when what I would call the business level brick walls go up, they can actually push them down and make sure that the project is moving forward appropriately. We move over to the green role, the technical coordinator, probably call them a solution architect. They understand the underlying architecture that the solution is being delivered on, probably designed it, and they understand all the technical documentation and processes and procedures that need to be carried out to effectively deliver the solution. In the middle, we've got the blue role, project manager. And all I'll say is this is a short session, is the project manager on a DSDM project does all of the good stuff that a project manager would do on a traditional project, but they jump off when it comes down to detailed planning at Timebox level. That's done by the solution development team. And the idea here also is to manage by exception. If we drop down now into the baby's body, or the solution development team itself, we look at the role on the left-hand side in the middle. We've got the business ambassador. This is someone at operational level that's got a good helicopter view of the solution from end to end. And they are there and empowered to answer questions with respect to the solution developer and solution tester on any level of detailed understanding of those requirements. Because they've only got a helicopter view, from time to time they may not be able to answer questions at a deep enough level of detail. So if we move over to the right hand side, we've got the business advisor, generally a peer of the business ambassador, and the business advisors are there as subject matter experts to help the solution developers and solution testers drill down on their level of understanding of those requirements in the prioritized requirements list. We've got a solution developer and a solution tester. I'm not going to say much about those apart from they do what it says on the tin. And over here we've got a technical advisor. And generally if we're deploying to a release team or deploying to ops or something like that during the DSDM life cycle, this technical advisor is the person that we talk to get a feel and an understanding of what artifacts they need to do their job appropriately, and we plan those into relevant time boxes. We've got the team leader, which is what I call a dynamic role in DSDM, and what that means is if we're in a time box that's predominantly testing based, the solution tester may well make a good team leader. If it's requirements based, the business ambassador or business analyst would make a good team leader, and so on and so forth. The business analyst sits between the head and the body of the alien baby. And the key point to make here, because we're going to drill down on the business analyst a little bit later on, is the business analyst is not an intermediary between IT and the business. The business analyst is part of the solution development team, and they are making sure that appropriate conversations are going on between the business advisor, business ambassador, solution developer and solution tester, making notes as we go along, updating appropriate artifacts and models. One last thing to look at where the business analyst is sitting. What we've actually got, if we move the business analyst to one side, is 3 escalation paths. We've got business escalation, project escalation, technical escalation. This normally works by the team leader escalating to the project manager, who either deals with the problem or passes it to the business visionary or technical coordinator. And if those 3 roles can't deal with it, it's passed up to the business sponsor as the final arbiter. And we've got 2 more roles here, supporting roles. We've got a DSDM coach. Could be a DSDM coach, could be a DSDM consultant. I'm not sure about exchange rates, but if you're wondering the difference between a coach and a consultant, it's normally around £400 a day. And the DSDM coach is there to make sure that all of the solution development team and project level roles are doing DSDM properly. And we also have an independent workshop facilitator. So that's the roles. This is the products. This looks quite a busy slide, but let's take you through it. Along the top here, we've got the different DSDM phases, so pre-project, feasibility, foundations, evolutionary development, deployment, and post-project. And what we're doing is we kick off, as we said earlier on, DSDM with the terms of reference. That's got the key business drivers on it. And when we move into feasibility, we start at a very high level, 6 key DSDM products. The business case that we'll look at in more detail when we look at the Agile BA, prioritise requirements list, so prioritise using Moscow. We've then got the solution architecture definition that provides us with an overview of the business architecture and the technical architecture of the solution. Business architecture, organisational chart, technical architecture could be little more than a network diagram showing us how everything connects to the underlying server, different software and different APIs and things that need to be loaded on the machines connecting to that network. If the solution we're providing is going to bring about a change in the organisational structure of the business, we would do a before and after organisational chart in this particular product. And if the solution we are providing will be bringing about a change in business process, that will be documented here too. We've then got the development approach definition, which is a high level definition of the tools, techniques, customs, practices and standards applied to evolving the solution. We've got the delivery plan that encompasses feasibility, foundations, very, very high level when our increments are going to start and finish, and then we drop down to Timebox level, and that's what's planned by the solution development team. The delivery plan that I just mentioned is actually planned by the project manager. Finally, we've got the management approach definition, and this is about how the project will be organised and planned, how stakeholders engage with the project, and how progress will be reported. At the end of feasibility, we take a snapshot of those 6 products. We call it the feasibility assessment. That's a governance product, and that allows us to make a go, no-go decision on the project moving forwards. We do the same at the end of foundations. We produce a foundation summary. Again, a governance product that allows us to make a go, no-go decision on the project moving forwards. And then we've got this sort of green swirl in the middle of the diagram, and that's our evolving solution. We've got models, prototypes, supporting materials, and testing and assurance documentation. The models and supporting materials are generally updated and created by the business analyst. They will also get us thinking, this is the solution development team, about any prototypes that need to be produced for the business ambassadors and business advisors to have conversations with the solution developers and solution testers about. We've also got Timebox plans and Timebox review records. This Timebox review record comes at the end of a Timebox after the retrospective. And we also have a project review report, which is made up of a number of Timebox review records. And then at the end, we do our benefits assessment to make sure that the benefits that we put forward in the business case have actually accrued. So that's a quick walk through the DSDM products. This is a look at Moscow prioritisation, and we've got must-haves, should-haves, could-haves, and the won't-haves this time are over on the right-hand side. Must-have requirements, we've got typically 60% effort there for must-have requirements, and typically 20% effort for could-have requirements. These can go up and down, and I've never really worked on a project where we've had exactly 60% or 20%. And let's have a look at what these must-haves, should-haves and could-haves actually mean. Must-have requirements are those requirements that if they're left out, the system will be unsafe or illegal or not viable. And I think we know what unsafe or illegal means, not viable. Think of it this way, we've got a customer requirements management system that we're developing, and in that prioritised requirements list, there's probably going to be a requirement that says capture customer details. Well, if that's not delivered, the system isn't viable. We haven't got a CRM system, so that would be a must-have. And to look at must, shoulds and coulds, if we think about a student records system, we're developing a new student record system for a university, and at the moment the students get their results from a report that's put up in the canteen. It's got their student ID and their results for each module in the semester. The new solution must really have that report, because if we get that, then we can carry on in a business as usual way and the students still get their results. If we're in a workshop and someone says, well, actually, this is 2016, why don't we make the results available by the internet? Oh, and by the way, I've put something in the Student Gazette that says students will be able to get their results via the internet after Christmas. And then someone else says, well, okay, you know, let's make it available by SMS as well. Difference between shoulds and coulds is the level of pain if you leave them out. If you think about that, let's make it available via the internet. Because it's been advertised, if we leave that out, the system's still viable. We've got the report, but the level of pain is going to be the embarrassment with respect to actually saying something was going to be made available and it isn't. If we leave out that could-have requirement, no one really knows about that apart from the person that asked for it, and the level of pain there is minimal. This is a DSDM structured time box. They're typically 2 to 4 weeks long. Most teams that I work with use 2-week time boxes. They start with a kick-off where we actually look at what we're going to do. So we can do these 5 requirements in this time box. We move into investigation, which is 10 to 20% of the effort of the time box. And here, we're actually doing relative sizing on our requirements, making sure we can do the 5, maybe we can only do 4, maybe we can do the 5, maybe we can do 6. We're also looking at playing planning poker, which is an agile technique for doing the relative sizing. Once we've decided the requirements we can get, we're writing out the tasks for them, starting up our task board and getting ready to develop our burn down chart. We come out of investigation, we go into refinement, 60 to 80% of the effort for the time box. And in refinement, we're doing the work. We're doing the analysis, design, coding and testing for that small subset of requirements from the prioritised requirements list. At the end of refinement, we have a review, which is where we stand back and make a decision on what it is we're going to deliver at the end of the time box. And this is where we make the call on whether or not we're going to leave out any could-have requirements. Once that decision is made, we finish off the work that we're going to deliver in the time box. And then at closeout, that's where we would have our retrospective and the output of the time box is signed off. If we can move on to the next slide, please. We're now, after having had a whistle-stop tour of the DSDM Agile Project Framework, going to look very, very briefly at Agile Programme Management. This is the process for Agile Programme Management. And we start with pre-program. This formalises a proposal for the program and plans it in, or places it in the context of other work to be done within the organisation. We move into program feasibility, and this confirms the program is consistent with business strategy and that it should be included in the organisation's portfolio of initiatives. We then move into program foundations, and this is aimed at ensuring the program will realise enough business benefits to make it worthwhile. And then once we've got enough capabilities delivered, we can do a tranche review to see whether or not it's viable to keep on going on with the program. And then eventually we'll do a program close and review. We're looking at capability evolution here. And all I will say about that is that's lots and lots and lots, or a number, shall we say, lots and lots is a bit childish. We've got a number of DSDM projects going on here to help realise those capabilities. This is the alien baby for Agile Programme Management. And we start at the top with a business program owner, and they're ultimately accountable for the successful completion of the program and the realisation of its benefits. We've got a program manager responsible for all aspects of the delivery of the program, from setup to the delivery of capabilities, and they also develop the mechanism for the realisation of benefits. If we move over to the other side now, we've got business change owners. Excuse me. They're senior members of a specific business area responsible for realising the benefits that the new capabilities will provide in that business area. We've also got program change architects. They ensure that the business architecture model accurately reflects the current program vision and that this model is understood by all appropriate stakeholders. Here we've got the program technical architect, and the program technical architect ensures that design and technical aspects of the program are consistent across all projects, all of those DSDM projects we talked about earlier on. Then we look at the stakeholder engagement coordinator, and they ensure that active stakeholder engagement across all stakeholders at all levels is ongoing. We've then got our project teams, the DSDM teams, and then we've got our supporting change agents, specialists, and obviously our program support office. All I'll say about this is this shows how people on the program engage with people on the DSDM project, or roles on the DSDM project. So the program manager is engaging with the business sponsor, the business change owner is engaging with the business visionary, and the program technical architect is engaging with the technical coordinator. So we're now going to start looking at Agile Business Analysis. This is entitled, What About the Business Analyst? Well, it took a while, but in 2015, the DSDM Consortium launched the Agile BA set of examinations along with APMG. It's based on the DSDM Agile Project Framework, the framework that we've looked at earlier on. It gives, in the handbook, the reader an understanding of the Agile Project Framework, the context within which a business analyst would work on an Agile project. It introduces various analysis techniques, and it explains to the business analysts how they can make a contribution on an Agile project. We're now going to explore some of the things that are in this Agile Business Analysis Handbook. And let's start with thinking about what we said earlier on the Agile Manifesto, individuals and interactions over processes and tools, and think about traditional business analysis. Business analysts in a traditional environment work with business people to understand their need, obviously. Then they craft detailed specifications for solutions to meet that need. And they own that specification. Once that specification has been produced, sometimes hundreds of pages long, that's passed over to IT. IT may need more information. They'll go back to the business analyst. The business analyst will go back to the business, extend the document out, and so on and so forth. So they are an intermediary between IT and the business. Agile doesn't work that way. Agile approaches encourage the business and development roles, so business and IT, to work in collaboration with each other. Agile doesn't have intermediaries. Agile doesn't work with very, very detailed document specifications. We'll see how Agile works in a moment. So we're looking at the business analyst now, and the key thing to get from the first bullet point is they are not an intermediary. They are fully integrated within the solution development team, with the business ambassadors, business advisors, solution developers, solution testers, and team leaders. They support communication between the business and the solution development team. They facilitate those communications either formally or informally. And they make sure that day-to-day decisions about the evolving solution are accurate from the viewpoint that the business needs are properly analysed and correctly reflect the evolving solution. So on a day-to-day basis, the business analyst is facilitating conversations within the solution development team, and as part of that facilitation, they're making sure that decisions being made are actually relating back to objectives in the business case that we mentioned earlier on and that we're going to have a look at in a moment. So this slide is just to remind us that business analysts work at 3 different levels: project level, program level, and corporate level. May not be the same business analyst at every level. And if you remember, I mentioned the terms of reference kicking off a DSDM project. That would be a business analyst at strategic level that produces that. And then that will probably be picked up by a business analyst at project level. And this would be a DSDM project using the life cycle or the process that we mentioned earlier on. And the key thing here is that the BA or groups of BAs have a holistic view of the business and the projects that need to be run to deliver capabilities for that business. Loads of wonderful triangles. So this is business structure. Business has an organisation, so organisational chart, and people within that organisational chart use various processes, and sometimes they use technology to support the implementation of those processes. But the key thing from this slide is right in the centre there, we've got people. Businesses run around people. Business analysts engage with people to make sure the right solution is being delivered at the right time. And it's about this engagement that we're going to start looking a little bit more closely at as we go through. So, business cases, often undervalued and seen as bureaucracy if they are very large. DSDM business cases, 5, 6, 7, 8 pages long. And when you've got a large complex project, they help keep the project focused. They help the BA and PM work together to make sure that what's being delivered relates back to those objectives in the business case. And what is a business case doing? It's giving us an idea of where we are now, where we want to be, and how we're going to get there. And the various options that we can choose from the final solution. So we get options in a business case, and at the end of foundations, we choose one of those options to be the solution that we are going to deliver to meet our various business needs. So what's the business case content? We'll include the business vision within the business case. And those options we were talking about earlier on will have the following detail: a solution overview, which should be obvious, the alignment to the strategic plan and strategic goals that option has, costs and benefits. We'll also have an investment appraisal. So will the costs incurred in delivering the solution actually be clawed back via the benefits? We'll also have an investment risk assessment, so the risks associated with achieving the return on investment. And again, we've got key assumptions, risks and dependencies for the project, looking at them at a high level, and that would be similar to the assumptions, risks and dependencies we look at in a traditional world. And as we go through foundations, we'll be picking one of these options as the proposed solution. Here's a reminder of the DSDM process, because it was a while back that we looked at it. I'm not going to go through it in any level of detail, but let's just think, pre-project, feasibility, foundations, evolutionary development, deployment, post-project. And we're going to look now at how the BA gets involved in each of these different phases. So this is the Agile BA Involvement. And during feasibility, they're looking at developing this embryonic business case. Generally, what would happen there is, as I said earlier on, we would take those key business drivers from the terms of reference and morph them into objectives for the project. They would also be looking at the key business stakeholders that need to be involved with the project, so business sponsor, business visionary, engaging with those within facilitated workshops to help the project manager produce the outline of the development plan. And if there are any prototypes required during feasibility, they would be facilitating the development of those prototypes. And the reason why we would produce a prototype during feasibility would be to prove that the solution is actually technically viable. In foundations, they're helping with the prioritised requirements list. They're morphing that embryonic business case in feasibility through into a full, complete business case. They're looking at other stakeholders from the business community that need to be brought on board with respect to the project. So we're looking at business advisors, business ambassadors. They're also helping with that project plan, that development plan, deployment plan that the PM is developing. They're helping with the first part of the increment planning, and they're also looking towards perhaps developing a number of solution prototypes that are put forward in the Agile business case, so a decision can be made which one is going to be chosen to move forwards with. And then as we move into evolutionary development, they're actually helping with Timebox plans, and they're actually making sure that the product is relating back to the various objectives in the business case. So quite a lot of involvement throughout DSDM from the Agile BA. And how do we actually think about requirements in an Agile world? We use user stories. So as I want so that. As a customer, I want to be able to order jam from your website because I love it and I can't get it in the supermarkets. Key thing here, this is not going to be a masterclass on user stories, but sometimes people lose sight of the fact of what a user story is. A user story is a commitment from the person that wrote the user story to the person that's going to use it next, to have a conversation with them so that the person that's going to use the user story understands it at the level of detail that they need to. We can have a hierarchy of user stories. So early on in a DSDM project, we've got objectives or themes coming out. With respect to user stories, themes are a collection of user stories and epics. We start moving through the DSDM life cycle, and we're getting epic stories coming out. Those user stories that can obviously be broken down into lower level user stories, which is what we're showing as user requirements. And when we drop into evolutionary development, this is where we're teasing out our detailed user stories, very, very low level stuff that the solution development team can estimate and plan appropriately. And this is a pictorial representation of what I said with respect to the previous slide. So pre-project feasibility, we're getting objectives and themes coming out, feasibility foundations, high-level prioritised requirements, epics and stories, and we drop into evolutionary development, and that's where we're getting those detailed user stories coming out. So the prioritised requirements list that we talked about earlier on, the Agile BA produces this prioritised requirements list and maintains it. The must-have requirements are approved by the business visionary, as are all the other requirements in the prioritised requirements list. And the key thing to remember is that the Agile BA does not own the requirements, but they are the champion of the PRL. The PRL is owned by the business visionary. The BA is responsible for keeping it up to date. Within the Agile Business Analysis Handbook, you will be introduced to a number of different modelling techniques. Obviously, I haven't got enough time to go through all of them, so I've just developed this slide to give you a feel for the techniques that you will be introduced to and how you can use them in an agile way. This is a pictorial representation of what you will find in the Agile BA Handbook. Again, I'm not going to go through that in any detail. It's there for you to peruse at your leisure. And that's me saying goodbye. It wouldn't be a presentation without an emoticon, would it really? And that little tear is there because although I can't see any of you, I can feel your presence. I know you're wonderful people. I'm going to miss you. If you want to get in contact with me, my email address is there and the company website is shown in the bottom right-hand corner. Thank you very much for your time. And now I'm assuming I'm going to get some questions.
Yes, thank you, Vic. That was fantastic and very informative. So informative, in fact, we are very mindful that we're very close to the hour-long limit of the session. I do invite everybody that we will be sending out a video of this, recording of this after the event. But if you'd like to hang around for another 10 minutes, I'm sure Vic can stay with us for 10 minutes, that we've got a few questions. But I completely understand if everybody needs to rush off to another meeting or so out and about. So the first question that we came across was one from Adam. So thank you for the question, Adam. In this global environment with remote workers, is it possible for the team to not be co-located in the same place? And have you got any examples where remote teams are able to work in an agile manner?
Right. The quick answer is yes, and it depends what you mean by remote teams. I've had teams in the UK working remotely, and that's easy. We had a team in Crawley and a team in Guildford, and every day on our daily stand-ups we would have a video type conference, and the team in Crawley, the main team, would go through, and the people in Guildford would be seeing what's going on with respect to updating the task board. When it came to the point for the people in Guildford to have their turn, we had what we called an update buddy in Crawley, and the people in Guildford would say to the update buddies, "Oh, can you update this task, move it from doing to done," and so on and so forth, and we'd run our daily stand-ups in that way, and that was very, very effective. And that's the sort of thing that we would need to be doing if we had remote teams working in different time zones. The issue with different time zones is, like we've got here, you're at near enough 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm at 7 o'clock in the morning, and if we're in that sort of time zone scenario, that's absolutely fine, because we can interact. Some people can stay late, some people can get up early. If we have got teams working on disparate time zones, we might need an intermediary to work on behalf of the two different teams. We can always converse via WebEx, we can converse via Microsoft Link or Skype or something like that. It's not insurmountable if you've got teams working across different time zones. My advice to you would be, if you want to look at how Agile works across different time zones, there's a guy called Martin Fowler, F-O-W-L-E-R, Martin Fowler. He works for a company called ThoughtWorks. So if you Google Martin Fowler ThoughtWorks, for the last 15 years or so, he was blogging about his experience with respect to remote working Agile teams, and he's now moved that to the ThoughtWorks website. It's very, very comprehensive, and virtually every issue that you can think of, Martin Fowler's been there, seen it, done it, got the t-shirt, etc. Not sure he's made the video, but have a look at that website. I hope that answers your question.
Fantastic. Another one we've got here from Dan, and speaking of teams, each team's play roles. Can or should all roles be different people, or can there be an overlap? If so,
right.
which ones should or couldn't be overlapped?
Okay, let's go through the alien baby. So on a small project, you could merge the business sponsor and the business visionary if that person has got the time to do the business visionary's work. On a small project, you can merge the technical coordinator and either the solution developer or solution tester. On a small project, you can also merge the project manager and team leader. If we go now from small projects to larger projects, it's likely that you would have a group of technical advisors, a group of business advisors, a group of business ambassadors, a group of solution testers, and a group of solution developers. And when we're looking at the solution development team, one sort of rule of thumb to think about when you're going for these groups of different people is a DSDM team should be of a size 7 plus or minus 2. So 5 to 9 people in a solution development team. That came from a paper, because 7 plus or minus 2 is kicked around a lot in the project management world, traditional and agile. It came from a paper developed in the 50s and came out of a USA university. A guy, psychologist, was looking at the amount of conversations people can hold at any one time and how long they can hold information or how much information they can hold in short-term memory. And based on that, they said with respect to collaboration and communication, an effective team size is 7 plus or minus 2. If you Google it, the magic number 7 plus or minus 2 takes you to the Wikipedia, which is absolutely fine in this case. You can download that paper if you're interested. It's about 70 or 80 pages long. It is very academic, but if you're into that sort of thing, it is a very, very good read, and I would highly recommend it. I hope that answers your question.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you again. I've got one from Doug. Now, you did actually elaborate on this, and Doug appreciated it, but I think it's always worthwhile bringing up a query just to reinforce. Now, Doug raises a comment that during a point in the seminar, you didn't really formalise or have the BA formalising the business requirements. And at that point, you didn't mention. So where would you see the main focus is who's developing these business requirements within the program, project and business analysis?
Right. During feasibility and foundations, we've got the business sponsor and business visionary. And we've also got the technical coordinator on board. And it would generally be the business sponsor and business visionary driving that high-level prioritised requirements list coming out of foundations. That prioritised requirements list is baselined at the end of foundations. And as we move into evolutionary development, it's the business ambassadors and business advisors that would be drilling down on the detail. However, it could well be that during foundations, the business sponsor and business visionary have got key business stakeholders involved in the facilitated workshops to help the business sponsor and business visionary make informed decisions about what goes in that prioritised requirements list. Does that answer Doug's question, or would you like a little bit more detail?
Like, I think, as I said, Doug was pretty happy with, as you went through where it's articulated, but I thought it's always very good just to kind of highlight, because, you know, sometimes you go through. On that, you did talk about visionaries. Another comment that came through is where's the vision defined in these projects? You know, wasn't clearly there. Now, I understand going through in a lot of the detail through the publications and actually going through the frameworks more than just now that they go into quite a bit of detail. But where would you say, just in a very small nutshell, where is the vision captured throughout the process?
In the business case, and that was mentioned on the slide.
Okay, fantastic, thank you. Alrighty. There was a lot of information that was fantastic. And no, with that, look, I really do want to thank you for the session today, and I hope everybody found this informative as I did. And on that note, we do really appreciate the feedback. And so just keep in mind that as you leave the session today, that there will be a short poll. If you could put your insights in there, it would be fantastic, as it will really help us with determining the quality and how we move forward with these sessions in the future. I would like to, again, thank the panelists. We've got Mal Shaw, our CEO. We've got Michael.
Hey, while you've got me there, Matt, can I ask you a quick question?
Oh, okay.
On behalf of some of the attendees, we had a question as to whether or not the slides could be available to attendees after the session.
No problem. You've got them, and I'm quite happy for them to be released. I'm not one of these people that's precious about my slides, so just get them out there, okay?
Thank you so much.
Excellent.
Could I just also sort of throw in something? If there are any further questions and you want to gather them and collate them and email them to me, I will provide you with an email response that you can put on your website or send out to people that attended the seminar, and you know, do with my answers whatever you see fit. But I'll put one proviso on there: if you take any of my answers and implement them and lose loads of money, please don't sue me.
Fantastic. And again, on behalf of DDLS, we'd like to thank everybody for attending the session today. Please keep in mind that you find more information about these courses on our website, www.ddls.com.au. You will find that the BA and the project management courses are already up on the website. I'm very happy to announce that we've just been formally accredited to also deliver the program, and that will be going up as well in the next couple of days. So again, thank you, and if you have any questions whatsoever, feel free to contact us. We would love to hear from you. Thank you again, everybody.